when the right people come together at the right moment, when they care almost as much about winning as they do about each other, they can become the best of the best.
Welcome to the best soccer show, the best soccer show in the whole world.
Here we go. It's the best soccer show. Jason Davis, Jared DuBois, live on a Tuesday. It feels awkward, feels wrong on some level, but we're going to make it work anyway, Jared.
Yeah,
It's like pizza or sex. Even when it's bad, it's still pretty good.
And
That's
sometimes
what I'm
awkward and wrong.
It could absolutely be awkward and wrong.
Like
I've seen
pineapple
corn
on that pizza.
No, corn is worse than pineapple.
Corn? Who puts corn on pizza, dude?
I'm not in. Well, I was.
This is a thing? It's like a Puerto Rican thing where you're at down there?
No,
Or what?
well, Puerto Rican pizza does include shrimp quite often, which I just had the other day. Not too bad. They do it a little different down here. But I did not eat it myself because gross. In the Dominican Republic when I was there at one of those all-inclusive resorts. So maybe it was just, I don't know, we can slap whatever we want. We're charging people for this food. We're going to cut costs, throw some corn on it. I'm talking about the canned corn, too, like the little kernels that you get out of the
Not even like a elote corn, like off a cob? Like
no, definitely not elote. Nothing like that. No, nothing like that at all. That was
pizza. We've killed pizza. That's just what it comes down to. We've killed pizza. When Americans invented the pizza roll, things got destroyed.
Okay. Now I think you're talking crazy. Pizza rolls are good. Pizza rolls are a positive for the world.
They are, but they're also a very low bar.
Okay, maybe fair enough. We are here on a Tuesday. Look, we've got a theme for the program. We're going to talk about all these off-season transfers, these summer transfers for American players. Ahead of the World Cup, Jared DuBois has a ranking. He's actually ranked these moves, and I do think we should have some fun with that. Get people's thoughts on these rankings. Our phone lines are open because Nicholas Soup and Salad is in the building once again. Now, I don't have access to the soundboard here in Puerto Rico, where I've already told these people before the show that mis huevos están mojados, but he can play himself in, right? Did he do that last week? I don't remember. Did he play himself in?
Or wait, Nick wasn't here last week. We didn't have phones.
Oh, is that right?
Nick was here.
I was totally here.
Yeah, he was rocking the drops.
Wow,
it was the week before we didn't have phones.
The Sausage King of Chicago.
Yeah, he played himself in. I enjoy that. Yes, Nick is here to answer phone calls. And you were here last week, and you did an amazing job, Nick. You did a fantastic job. Thank you very much.
Appreciate you.
At least one of us remembered. Yes. I think it's so humid in Puerto Rico. I think you're actually getting like a fog on your lens a little bit. Like
I'm telling you, not only are the huevos...
The hair is flat.
The hair is bad. First of all, it's long. It really needs a good cut.
You getting that Monica from Friends on Vacation kind of thing going on?
That was braids. I'm not.
Yeah, those Friends.
My wife told me, like, I needed a haircut before we left. I told her the last day before we left, I want to go get a haircut. Time-wise, it just didn't work out. Packing, planning, all the things. I was panicking over the fact that I needed a haircut then. This is a week and a half ago, and I still need and it's worse. And she goes, "Oh, just go get a papi chulo." And I was like, I don't know if I can commit to that. Like, I don't know.
Like, she can call you it, but I don't know if you rock the haircut. You know, like
it has happened one time. I have had this experience once.
I don't remember that.
Friends were getting married. I came with my wife to Puerto Rico. I needed a haircut. She took me to a place, and this guy gave me. Can I tell you? It took at least an hour and a half for me to get this haircut.
An hour and a half men's haircut.
Yes.
Is this like a Christian Pulisic get your tips done kind of scenario or what?
No, there was no dyeing. There was only incredible detail work, Jared. I'm talking.
Oh, like in Ted Lasso when the captain, what's his name, goes through and he's doing up Obasanya's his fade.
Yes, it's like that. It's like, you know how those guys that can do pinstripes, just like they just take the brush and they walk down the car and do the perfect pinstripe. You know those guys? That's what the haircut guy, what are they called? Barbers, whatever they are, in Puerto Rico do. It's like, and like lots of people know this culturally. People understand what this is. It is intense when it comes. I mean, we're talking a razor to get the line just about as perfect as you can
Yeah,
get.
sometimes I watch like old episodes of Andy Griffith and stuff like that, and I'm watching like the straight razor and like shit, like all that stuff like that. You had so much trust in a barber back then.
Never had a straight razor? Like,
Oh, I have
like
on my neck and stuff like that, but like when I haven't had a straight razor shave. I've never had a straight razor shave, like when they actually go like full on.
like all the way. Yeah, I've had the.
See, I need
like
a group of friends like the U.S. men's national team where I just fly a guy out, a barber that's going to be doing all my like shaving and all that stuff for me.
the besties had a Zoom call that I joined in on. It was great.
Oh, nice! I'm glad you did because I ended up having plans that night.
Yeah, just a bestie Zoom call that happened not that long ago, and I know I wasn't around, I don't think, but I know they were talking about what if somebody wins Mega Millions from the besties? What are we going to do with that money? I think maybe first and foremost is get a team barber for all of the besties. Like we should do that. Fly that barber all over the country to get this hair right.
No,
Right?
I think you put it in a short-term like CD that matures in 2026, and then you've like made more money, and then we all go to one of the World Cup games together. Like that's what you do.
One of them. If you win the Mega Millions, you're buying the World Cup. What are you talking about?
I'm not asking for much, you know. My wife and I were having that conversation last night. Like, why don't we have that one rich friend?
Like uber wealthy, like over the top rich.
Yeah,
You're not
like when Beckham was with the Galaxy back in the day. Like I heard he didn't always pick up checks, but sometimes like you want to have that guy that's willing to pick up the check.
Yeah, it'd be nice. I've never had a friend. I've been in places where somebody knew somebody who had the house with 3 pools. Like I've been in those places.
3 pools?
Like we've got a big pool over here, we got a little pool over there, we've got a jacuzzi over here, we've got 8 cars in the driveway, like that level, like on water. If you have I'm talking about.
Oh, you've been to Alexi's house.
Rooms, and the place is on the water. It's always on the water, right? If you live.
What's the point of having that many pools unless you can not go in the water and go in your pool instead?
That's what I'm saying. Like,
you look at the water. You don't go in the water. What do you?
If you are that wealthy, you live on the beach with a pool. That's what you do. And
yes.
Right. All right. So, in addition to the U.S. men's national team summer transfer rankings, which we'll get to, there are some MLS happenings I think we should touch on. And I'm going to start, Jared, with Toronto FC blasting Charlotte FC 4-0. And I know it's Charlotte. They're an expansion team. They've changed their coach already. Yada, yada, yada. But Lorenzo Insigne, Federico Bernardeschi, Michael Bradley scoring 2 goals.
All those things are exactly the same level you just mentioned.
Jesus Jimenez. No, so what do you think is possible? And what do you make of, because, Toronto has been the leading spender for a while now. They did it in 2017 with the Josie, Michael Bradley, and Sebastian Jovinko group. But you come from wealth. You support a team that has been known to splash the cash. What do you, as a spoiled Galaxy fan for so long, not right now.
Okay, no, that's fine. But to be clear, the Galaxy is the MC Hammer of splashing cash. Like, we're really good at doing it, like about 20 years ago. Then we end up being poor very quickly afterwards.
Oh, you're making it. He went bankrupt, Joe.
Yes.
About MC Hammer.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, so that's the Galaxy these days. We didn't spend our money wisely lately.
Timely reference, by the way. MC Hammer. Very timely reference.
Hey, don't hurt him. You got to let him know. You got to be legit, man, or you got to quit. But with the Toronto team, so first of all, I wouldn't be surprised if you see some side, I'm going to call it Michael Bradley side boob. It's where, it's just enough to make you excited, but it's not the whole thing, because Michael Bradley's not who he once was. But with that many good players around him, think of what Michael Bradley used to do really well at Heerenveen and stuff like that earlier in his career, arriving to the box late.
Yeah, remember
and when you have
15 goals at Heerenveen and we all went bonkers over Michael Bradley being a goal scorer, and sure enough, he wasn't that guy, was he?
But think about right now, he has guys that are going to distract and take attention away from him in front of him, which means he can arrive late and maybe get a one-on-one or a nice little breakout pass to the 18-yard box.
Well, that's what I'm saying. To me, it's not just taking attention. It is the combination play that is possible with players who are adept at a higher level. I don't know if I've talked about it in a long time, but one thing it's less true now, but there was a period, and it happened with the Galaxy, right? Remember when teams that signed DPs weren't winning championships, and everybody was like, why can't teams with DPs win championships? But in the early days of the DP rule, teams were largely signing one guy. and one guy who was next level, right? And maybe they signed a lower level DP or something, a guy out of South America.
Pablo Angels and stuff like that.
Just over the limit. If you don't have at least two guys who play on the same wavelength, and guys who come from Serie A, guys who play for Juventus, guys who play for the Italian national team, guys who play for Napoli, guys who play, if you don't have at least two of those players, it doesn't work. So when David Beckham arrives, okay, Landon Donovan, but they're not attacking players together, right? Beckham's role wasn't as an attacking player for most of his career. Not high up the field anyway.
It wasn't until you got the other guy. Yeah.
Until you got Robbie Keane to play with Landon Donovan, and then they were unleashed, right? And I think you need at least two guys who can play in combination that way. And now DFC has multiple. I mean, it's Bernadeschi and Insigne.
LAFC is very similar in that regard too. When you talk about Vela and Chicho, like they've got a lot of really good players that seem to want to play the same style of play. The Uruguayans that they've brought in, like they have guys that want to play with the ball on the ground fast and in possession, transitional movement going forward. And I think with Toronto, at least one game, we got to see a little bit more of this to see how it's going to be. But exciting start if you're a Toronto SC fan that's been waiting. And what I think is that you now seeing, I'm a big fan of the summer DP window, and I don't think enough teams. I think the Galaxy by contrast is addicted to the winter window. They feel they have pressure to make signings to. I'm gonna say it's because it's to sell season tickets beginning of the season. At the beginning of the season, Cabral's not sexy. You got to get a name, and I don't think they can afford to wait. I don't think in their mindset they can afford to wait till July to get someone. So you grab a Diogo Costa because he's out there, not because he's the right guy. Maybe, I'm sure they convinced themselves it's the right guy, but come on, most people knew it wasn't the right guy. But you don't want to start the season, I don't know, you don't want to be less than 500 by July 1st. Turns out they're about that anyway. But if you look at the names available, and whether they are coming to MLS or not, but look at the names that LA Galaxy is not in the conversation for. Bale, Suarez, Dybala, Lingard, I mean, Bernadeschi, like you said, like there's all these names that they've taken themselves out of the running for. The winter window has such less talent available. It's guys who are available on a free, guys who are just not in their team's plans. You know, like it's not, you'll get a name, but you're not getting the same level. The summer transfer is where it's at, but a lot of teams just don't want to wait till midseason to make that addition.
I think there's also this sense that the Galaxy are going to be smarter, right? That Vanny comes in. He's got a better understanding of what works in the league. Let's let him set us up for success. And, well, that's a good question, right? And he certainly benefited from having Tim Bezbachenko working with him and having the money that MLSE was willing to spend in Toronto. And, you know, LA Galaxy can't spend that money, but maybe you're right. And instead of doing what the Galaxy have always done, which is really just go after the biggest names, and it doesn't always work, but, you know, the Galaxy were that team. Now they're trying to overthink it a little bit. I know, I'm all.
Listen, we didn't even talk about Cristiano Ronaldo's in the conversation right now, and the Galaxy are. Like, he's in a conversation of moving, and you could roll your eyes, but people rolled their eyes when Beckham in 2007. He's not coming here.
That's true.
The Galaxy has been the team that has pushed the envelope with who they signed. What?
Do you want him?
Ronaldo? Who doesn't want Ronaldo?
Okay. Well,
how you get him? That's the question. That's how do you get him? I have no idea, but. But to go back what you were just saying right there, when you're comparing like Vanny, Toronto, LA, I think it's not so. Vanny, give him credit for sure. Give Vanny credit, but I don't think Tim Leiweke gets enough credit. Tim Leiweke is sometimes posterized by people as an exec that's aloof. The guy gets it though. Like the guy enabled good change at the Galaxy and at Toronto, and even for a short time at DC as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's no doubt that Tim Leiweke is a major reason the Galaxy were winning championships and TFC are an elite team in Major League Soccer. And that doesn't mean the Galaxy can't succeed without Tim Leiweke, but they haven't figured out how to do that.
It was his brothers at DC, not him, right? My bad.
Yeah, it wasn't Tim Leiweke that was at DC. It was it was his brother.
Who also the other Leiweke.
Worked the other Leiweke. Yeah, the other one. Look, so Toronto makes big moves. They sign a bunch of Italians. They look real good. They've got a long way to go and a bunch of teams to jump over for a playoff spot, but who knows? Anything is possible. Now, one of the teams that looks certain to make the playoffs, defending MLS Cup champions, have just loaned their leading goal scorer, the Golden Boot winner from last year, and the leading goal scorer in the league this year, and Tati Castellanos, to Girona in Spain, Jared. They just came up. They're a tiny little club by Spanish standards.
How bad does your MVP want out of your team that you're gonna get him out on a loan to Girona? You know, like.
wants out as much as he wants to go to Europe. Those two things, I don't think he wants to leave. Like I just.
So is New York overvalue him? You think in their conversations that they couldn't get someone better than this to say yes?
That's a good question, and it's certainly something that I brought up on my radio show. Which were you aware? I'm still doing it from Puerto Rico. I'm doing my radio show.
Oh, I just saw someone in the chat. They said that Howard Stern approved your PTO.
That's correct.
WNBC.
That's right. I submitted my request to Howard Stern. It went through the process. He stamped it, and now here I am in Puerto Rico. It's not really paid time off because I'm working. He just said you have to work while you're there. So here you go. He's a slave driver, that Howard Stern. Look, I said on the show, is this NYCFC being crazy about the valuation? Now, they have an option, right? Because of City Football Group, because of the umbrella, because Girona is part of the whole unit of clubs. That's not the right word, but the family of clubs. They have an option that other clubs might not have. If you're leading goal scorer, if you're not in a global conglomerate of clubs like CFG, if your leading goal scorer comes to you, a Golden Boot winner, and says, hey, look, I've developed here. It's time for me to go. I really think I'm ready for Europe. You should sell me. And you go into the market and somebody says, oh, that player's worth $10 million. And you go, no, we think he's worth 15. And the player really wants to go. Are you supposed to go, no, you're worth 15, you're staying here? It
goes back to the Red Bulls system as well. Like how many guys in Tyler Adams and now K Cal, not K Cal, jeez.
Right, go ahead. I'm going to let you work this out. Go ahead.
Caden Clark.
There you go.
Where are they getting true market value, and are they being limited by the fact they're already established in a certain ownership system? You could say the same thing for Tati right now as well. Is he limited by having chosen to go to New York FC in the first place? And will that limit other players, or maybe will other players beware when agents say, like, hey, you may not want to go there because it's too hard to get you out if you're successful?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think
now for someone like Caden Clark, it's probably a good move. It's probably good, and Tyler Adams is a good thing. But we all look at Tati Castellanos and we're like, that's where he's going? That guy's better than that. That guy's better than that.
It feels that way. I mean, again,
and on a loan.
But this is about the market, right? And again, this very much is. We're stashing him with Girona. We hope that he scores goals at a higher level, and La Liga is a higher level. There's no doubt about that, right? He's going to go play at a higher level than Major League Soccer. If he scores any goals for a team that, is in this first division after, 30 years or whatever it was, I can't remember if that's right or not, but he's playing for a team that's going to struggle, right? It's like going to Venezia last year, right? They're going to struggle. Is he set up to score a bunch of goals? Probably not. So I don't even know what the bar is for that, right? So if you stash him in a club that's going to struggle to score goals in La Liga, and then say, well, that might, we think he's going to gain value there, and then we can sell him in a year for what we think he's worth now. I mean, I don't know. He could get hurt. There's so many things here, right? I'm not saying
it's a weird circumstance. It's a weird circumstance, and also, does New York get cap relief to bring someone else in right now when they load him out? Is that something they get right now?
No.
So aren't they just mortgaging their whole season? Like, oh, we got a trophy to the supporters. That's good enough. We'll work on a stadium for the next 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, this is a group. Now I know NYCFC is an independent club within a wider group, right? This is like your company being owned by a much bigger. If you're like member of the Unilever family, like everybody's owned by Unilever, right? You're independent, but only to a point. They don't need the money, right? NYCFC/City Football Group don't need the extra money that they're not getting from the offers for Tati Castellanos. And I have, somebody say, or I read somewhere, I think it was Sam Staysko's piece. It's a hard name to say, that Sam Staysko. He said something
it's
like...
It's the J.
That you have to pronounce the J. It's a soft J. It's like yawking. I don't know if it's
sometimes I'm a soft J.
When he wrote this piece, he said, David Lee, president of NYCFC, was saying there isn't an established market for players from South America who come through MLS. And he thinks that's one of the reasons they didn't get the offers that they thought they should. Let's imagine that Tati Castellanos was the product of an MLS academy. Now he's 24, which puts him on the older age of, a young player, if he is even a young player. But let's imagine he was the product of an MLS academy and he won the Golden Boot last year.
Yeah.
Would there be any question about them getting $15 million for him?
No.
No.
Track
So
record's out there now at this point.
What is the thing that keeps the South American players from being valued the same way the American MLS Academy players are valued? That's a question. It's an interesting one.
I'm not sure. That is odd because you could argue he's outperformed any American that's transferred overseas out of MLS. I can't think of an American that had a better record when they left than him.
No. In terms of what he's already accomplished, no,
Yeah.
there's no
Maybe
American.
Maybe Almiron was close, but it was a different position.
That's not an academy player. We're talking, and he's the one example of a South American product who developed in MLS and then went on to somewhere bigger, and they got $20 million for him. Is Miguel Almiron a better player than Tati Castellanos by $10 million?
I mean, he isn't looking right now for Newcastle, but I mean, they're different though. They're not expecting. Almiron's a playmaker. Tati Castellanos is a finisher. You know, it's hard to say. I would say, man, they both took their teams to championships too. Like I'm not sure. That's a pretty good level actually.
Wasn't Almiron like 23 when he left? Well, he was pretty close to this age. I don't think he was still a young player. I think he was pretty close to something like 20, 23, 24. I may be wrong about that.
If 23 is not young anymore, then we got to start talking differently about our World Cup team.
Well, I mean, what I mean is for developing players, right? Like it's still
at this point, Morgan has seen things at 23.
Oh, do you know stories I'm not aware of? I know she's.
No, I'm just saying, like she's a seasoned vet at this time. Like she, as a photographer on the sideline, she's seen things.
I see. That is fair. All right, so Tati Castellanos on loan to Girona. MLS can't get $15 million for his leading goal scorer. Well, I mean, I don't know.
That doesn't look. I mean, you don't like that if you're another standout striker on another team. I mean, it's right now he was probably the top prized piece that was he probably had the most trade value of any player in MLS. If you think of another player in MLS that has more trade value than Tati Castellanos?
You mean transfer value?
You know what I mean? Yeah. But transfer value.
Sorry, American. I'm translating it for everybody else.
I'm sorry. I speak American.
Transfer value out of Major League Soccer right now. Oh, that's a good question.
I mean, you could argue, like, I don't think anyone's taking Vela for more money than that. I mean, at his age.
Not at this point. Not at 30 or 31 or whatever he is now.
Yeah, I don't know if there's another. I think that's it. And so if you can't get $15 million for him, we're throwing that number out there. We don't know for a fact, but if you can't get $15 million for him, that's
somebody go look at transfermarket.us and tell us who the most valuable player in MLS is by that website's estimation, which is not the gold standard or anything, but is out there. I was trying to think of the last time a reigning MLS Golden Boot winner was sold. The next year.
Okay, so it was never Wondolowski. It was never Wright Phillips. It was never.
May have only happened.
Was Zlatan? Was Zlatan sold? He was free. Zlatan was free. So, and I don't think Zlatan was Golden Boot winner anyway.
Even Zlatan did not win the Golden Boot.
Man, I'm trying to remember who the last couple of Vela was Golden Boot winner, wasn't he?
He was, but they sell him the next time.
Yeah, I'm just trying to name the Golden Boot winners right now, so I'm trying to go back.
I'll go back in time. I'll go backwards. So
Nick may have it.
Diego Rossi. I looked up. I knew this off the top. I knew one off the top of my head. I don't have another one. Go. Oh, actually, yeah. Now I know two. Go ahead, Nick.
Well, one name you haven't mentioned is Joseph Martinez.
Well,
according to the transfer market,
value. Okay.
His transfer value is the third highest in Major League Soccer. Well, Thiago Almeida for Atlanta, and then Insigne.
Just got sold for 18 or whatever it is.
Right, and Insigne just arrived. Not selling it.
What do they have Joseph Martinez at value?
$13.75 million, and he's 29.
Those knees?
So the only they maybe haven't adjusted. The only player in the top. So Graham just threw the top four up in the chat here. The only one in the top four who spent any time at all in Major League Soccer is Joseph Martinez. Almada is brand new to the league, and Insigne just
arrived. They would all go right back out. Yeah.
So that doesn't. Yeah. But in terms of Golden Boot winners who were sold. Wasn't Nemanja Nikolic sold the year after he won the Golden Boot? Did that happen? I think that happened. Somebody in the chat can check on that. That's not the one I was thinking of, though. I was going all the way back to Stern John. Remember when Stern John won the Golden Boot and then got sold right away?
Did Josie win the Golden Boot when he got moved over?
No. Josie did not win a Golden Boot.
No. Okay.
No. It's Castellanos, Rossi. I'm going back in time here, backwards. Castellanos, Rossi, Vela, Joseph Martinez, Nikolic, Bradley Wright Phillips, Javinko, Bradley Wright Phillips, Camilo. Remember when Camilo won the Golden Boot? He might have been sold that year or the year after that.
Just wait till Jovic is the leading scorer in MLS. It's by the end of the season. Gives us a Golden Boot off the bench
every single time. Yeah, what's going on with that? So you want to talk about LAFC and lead that into your LA
Sure,
Galaxy
go ahead.
stuff real quick? I mean, you talked about the Galaxy a little.
Jason and I have a contractual obligation. If I have to spend 5 minutes talking about LAFC, I get to spend 5 minutes talking about the Galaxy.
Yeah, we'll do that. Let's get Felix in here first. It's been a little while since we heard from Felix. Felix in Chicago, you're on the air. What's up?
Hey, what's going on? First off, Jason, are you in the PR? That looks very much like a Puerto Rican apartment or something.
It's an office in my in-laws' house in Bayamon. So, yeah, I'm in Puerto Rico right now.
The PR.
Oh, there you go.
The PR, yes.
No, I just saw that and it just kind of gave me a flashback. I just wanted to talk, the kind of the transfers, some of the ones that I'm excited about. Tyler Adams. I like Tyler Adams going to Leeds. I think it's going to be a good spot for him where he's going to get regular playing time. I think playing against some physical players, a higher level of physicality than he saw in the Bundesliga. So I'm excited about that. The Chris Richards one, I think is going to be interesting. I know everyone's immediately kind of geeking out about it. I think Vieira's going to want to. I think he's got two center backs he really likes. He played him a ton last year, and I think he's kicking around the idea of playing. I think like a 3-man back line, which I think he sees Richards being the third guy. So it's not exactly how we play. Also, stepping up into a bigger level of physicality, which could be good for Richards, but I don't see him as the most physical player in the world. So I think it'll be a learning experience, but at the same time, I'm not so sure how it's going to go. So I think that'll be an interest. I think that's going to be a very much a sink or swim. Like it's going to work out. It's going to be a disaster. I can see it going either way. Those are two of the bigger ones that I'm excited about. The Luca De La Torre one, I'm very interested by. I don't know how much he's going to play to be one. We don't see too many Americans. When you think about it historically, how many Americans have we seen succeed in La Liga? We've seen Americans do well in all the big leagues. That's the one that's kind of like the final hill, right? We've had McKennie do well at Juventus, and Michael Bradley did well at Roma and Verona. We've had a ton of guys do well in Bundesliga. We've had a lot of guys do well in the Premier League. I can't think of anybody who's done really well in La Liga besides Dest, which I mean, I don't know. That's kind of.
I think he's done okay at times, but he's not been a massive hit at Barcelona. It's a high bar.
Nobody gives Casey Keller's time at Rayo Vallecano any run.
Okay. Yeah.
I guess I'm thinking field players.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
But anyways,
we are still waiting for the guy to break through.
Go ahead.
In La Liga. Yes.
So those are some of the transfers I'm excited about. I'm curious what's going to happen with Hoppy. I've read that some clubs are after him, but supposedly Mallorca is going to give him a run. I think is Vasco Aguirre, is he's still the manager there, right? He kept his job, right?
Been checked up on Mallorca.
At Mallorca?
Have not checked up, Felix. So you might have better information than we do right now. I'm at the point with Hoppy where I feel like he has to leave, regardless of what has been promised him. That it was such a disaster last year. He played 200 minutes in the first 3 months or a month of the season, and then that was it.
I'm surprised that's how much he got. Even that much, I didn't even think it was that much.
I remember him playing against Madrid, but I don't remember anything else.
Yeah.
I think he got 2-3 games tops, I think.
Thanks, Felix. I appreciate you getting us on track with this. You with Felix taking us into the summer transfers. Do you want to dip into that? And we'll come back to the LA stuff on the back end.
Sure, let's do that. We can save it for the back end. People are probably tired of the MLS talk anyway. Felix in Chicago, thank you very much for jumping on. So Jared has put together his top 10 summer transfers for U.S. men's national team
definitive.
Players. What's interesting about this, Jared, is that there are at least 10 of them. I mean,
I was able to think of 10. Well, I did cheat a little bit on one. I'm just letting you know right now, but I feel it's apropos though. So would you like me? I'll ask you the same thing. I asked my wife. Do you want me to start at the top or at the bottom?
Let's count it. Let's go from 10 to 1. Let's do
10
it
to
that
1.
way. That's how you
For the
build
record,
it.
she's the other way around. But okay. Let's see. At the number 10 spot, Granted, we're going super unsexy to sexy. Okay, so don't get mad because we're talking about stuff that may be a little unsexy right here. All right, so at the number 10 spot, I'm going with Shaq Moore coming back to MLS. I think it's a move that kind of needed to happen. It's a little bit of chalk maybe for a guy that needs minutes. The guy who is borderline for a third right back spot on the World Cup roster. And with us potentially not taking a second left back, you may want to be that third right back might have a good chance of actually making a roster, especially with us unclear still on how many players they're going to be able to take. I don't think it's been defined yet how many the roster is going to be deep at World Cup for the teams, right?
26. They've confirmed it's 26.
It is? Okay, 26. So still, there's an opportunity there to still take one more right back in that spot. So I think Shaq Moore coming back to the States is a good move. But yeah, that's what I'm putting at the 10th spot right here.
Okay, I did not do a rankings like you. We're going to save it. This is just Jared DuBois' rankings, but I wouldn't mind a comment or two. I think this is probably the best that Shaq Moore could hope for right now. Look, they spent $2 million on him, so they obviously wanted him pretty intently. And look, maybe Shaq could have searched around for another opportunity. Maybe, I don't know that there was a La Liga team was going to make room for him, and he was playing at a second division level. He definitely has more value in Major League Soccer than he does anywhere else right now. I do have this thing about once you leave Europe, it can be hard to get back if that's what you want your level.
Yeah, but here's the sneaky thing, a sneaky good thing about this move, Jason. Who's he playing next to?
He's playing next to Walker Zimmerman.
That can only help, right? That can only help. So if you're going to come back to MLS and you're going to show Greg Berhalter how you can combine with the one starting center back he has, good move for me.
Okay. I mean,
good enough for the number 10 spot.
If Walker, who is a roster lock and perhaps a locked-in starter for the national team, goes and gives glowing reviews to Greg Berhalter based on what he's seen from Shaq Moore, then and look, it's not like Greg doesn't know Shaq Moore, but there's that maybe extra level. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I think Shaq Moore at 25 maybe doesn't want to leave Europe, but this is a pretty good decision for him, and it gets him playing time now rather than having to wait as the European season gets underway. Like, he can go straight in. Now, the European seasons are set to start pretty soon, but, just a little extra game time is good for him.
All right, at the number 9 spot, this is my little cheat that I put in here. At the number 9 spot, I literally wrote the words, wherever Brooks goes. That's going to be that's a Ted move. Wherever he goes.
Wherever he lands.
Because Berhalter is now on the record on multiple different shows when he did his LA publicity tour, like he had a movie coming out, that he said that the reason he's not playing is because we need to see him running in a system that plays a high line to see how he would work into our system. So we need to evaluate wherever it is that Brooks goes, what style of defense they're playing and how he's playing in it. That's important.
Okay. I think that ship has sailed. I don't think there's any real shot for John Brooks to get.
The Berhalter should say it. If he's not, then we need to treat it as if he still has a chance.
Why does he need to say it? I'm just curious. Why do you think he needs to say it?
Why to keep a dude towing on a hook?
Well, no, he's going to have conversation. I mean, I hope he has conversation with John Brooks that we're not privy to.
Okay, so either our coach is a liar, or he's leading John Brooks on. He's lying to us in the media. He's telling us. Why should we not believe what he's telling us?
On blast publicly. That's what you're suggesting. So, look, I'm not. I don't.
He could simply say he's not in our plans right now.
But why? But what would that do? How would that make it any better for John Brooks or any? I mean,
you don't think that the other players that are fighting for a defensive spot would have to have clarity on who their competition is?
No, why not let them believe that John Brooks is still in the mix, so that they have to work harder to try to prove to Berhalter they deserve their spot?
That's a shitty thing to do to John Brooks. That's why.
John, again, we don't know what he's saying to John Brooks.
That makes Berhalter a shitty person. If he's telling John Brooks one thing, he's telling Colin Cowherd or whoever he's talking to and something else.
He is saying the same thing to Brooks. Maybe he is. I don't know. Again, I don't know what this thing is where he owes us something. He doesn't owe us anything. Now, if you do think that he's doing John Brooks,
he owes us. He owes us a good performance in Qatar. That's what he owes us.
Okay, what does that have to do with what he says now to Sebastian Salazar, Hercules Gomez, Colin Cowherd, whatever? What does that have to do with anything?
Entertainment Tonight.
Was he on Entertainment Tonight?
No,
was he really?
No, of course not. But he made the rounds for God's sakes. He was on Current Affair.
Kevin Frazier is a big LAFC guy, so he could have gone over there. Shout it out. Kevin Frazier called my show.
I mean, he was at Dodger Stadium with Kellen Acosta chilling with the LAFC officials.
He was.
All right, number 8. Number 8 is just a little bit unsexy, but I think it's kind of important and good enough to be in the top 10.
Okay.
I'm putting Haji Wright staying in Greece at his team.
That's a permanent move in Turkey. Not.
It is a transfer because he was a loan last season, so it is a transfer.
Can I ask you? Can I ask you to pronounce the name of the club he was transferred from?
From? God, I couldn't tell you. This got like O's with dots and slashes in it and stuff. I don't know. It looks like when you write a 0 when like it's got.
I always get caught in this place. I always forget to go look up the pronunciation when I talk about Haji Wright, and then I go, well, do I attempt it because it's only respectful to try to name the club, or do I not attempt it because whatever it's going to come out of my mouth is going to sound incredibly disrespectful?
I just watched 4 days of Finnish disc golf. So, like, I'm pretty good with some Finnish names right now, but I'm not good with some other stuff.
You watched what?
I watched that's the European Open was just happening last weekend. It was in Finland, Nokia, Finland.
Oh, my God.
A lot of Janis's and Jaspers.
Jasper. I can do Jasper.
Jonas.
Okay. So, Graham is typing this out as something like Sonderiki.
Sure.
Let's go with Sonderiki.
Sure.
Yeah, that's where Haji Wright was permanently transferred from to Antalyaspor, or something close to that.
Yeah.
In Turkey. So you're good with this because it's a place where he scored a bunch of goals. It kind of depends on how you rate the Turkish league, by the way.
But it was good enough to get him a look, though. His performance last season, given what other strikers were doing, was good enough to get him going. So maybe he should go on the hole. Maybe he should go on the hole. I don't know what that deal was. Maybe he's not challenging himself by staying in Turkey, but we'll say that he was able to produce at a decent level in Turkey last season.
He was able to produce at a decent level in Turkey last season. I don't think it's a bad move. I think it's probably like a 7 or 8 out of 10 if you're going to rate it that way.
Hey, I got number 8. There you go.
Okay. All right. So what else you got?
Number 7. Number 7, I have Zach Steffen's move to Middlesbrough.
Okay. Assuming a starting role for him at Middlesbrough, yes?
Assuming.
Okay.
So I think obviously good idea for him to go someplace where he can get starting minutes. If not, we potentially only have maybe Ethan Horvath like starting or Sean Johnson starting. Like it could be a pretty rough time here with starters.
Horvath starting at Luton Town. I don't think you can count on that. So right now it is Sean Johnson on the depth chart, who is a regular locked-in starter with his club.
So Zach Steffen checked the box he needed to check. He went to a place where he has the potential to be a starter, not a 100% known number 2. Is it a step down in quality for Man City? Yeah, every team in the world is a step down than for the Man City in terms of quality. But I seem to remember the tale of one Mr. Tim Howard, who was at Manchester United and took a step down to Everton and became one of the best keepers in the Premier League playing at Everton.
Down into a different Premier League club, which is the frustrating part about Zach Steffen, is that he's not going from Manchester City to a 12th place team or a 13th place team in the Premier League. He's going from Manchester City down to the Championship.
He literally stepped to a team that has middle in their name.
I don't know that it's necessarily as important for a goalkeeper as it is for an outfield player to be playing at the highest level, because if we're talking about shot stopping and those kind of things, he should still get those, he should still be challenged in those ways. The thing that we've always worried about with Zach Steffen, the thing that is maybe less of an issue than it used to be with the national team, is playing with the ball at his feet out of the back. And, the Championship is more direct. They're playing more longer passes.
The dude plays keeper in ballet shoes. Like it's, I don't know. Like that's the best way I can think to describe what his style is back there. It's. Oh, by the way, did I tell you I thought of what the name of my autobiography would be if I was like a veteran, retired, famous footballer?
No.
Okay, first of all, assume I'm a badass defender. Okay, the name of my autobiography would be Clean Sheets and Dirty Cleats. Pretty badass, right? That's like an album name.
You shouldn't give that away for free, man. Why aren't you keeping that to yourself?
I just told it's on the record. I'll sue a mother.
It's on the record. This is official. This is documented. He's
Clean Sheets and Dirty Cleats, baby. That's the Roy Keane story. All right, let's see.
I'm not sure we're going to go somewhere else with that. I mean, if it's more like a George Best kind of story, it has a different. There's a different.
I thought you were going someplace else with Dirty Sheets. Okay, let's see.
I'm saying.
No, Clean Sheets. Never mind. I said Clean Sheets. All right, let's see. Number 6. Number 6, I have, and this is just me one-upping my choice of who I think is better. I'm putting Matt Turner's move to Arsenal at number 6.
Okay.
For the sheer fact that the guy stepped up. Now, whether it's best for his World Cup chances, I don't know, but he took a bigger step for his career than Zach Steffen did in this offseason. So therefore, I'm putting this ahead of Zach Steffen.
So, were you of the same opinion? I can't remember. I don't know if you were even doing shows at the time. Were you of the same opinion when Zach Steffen, after he had been purchased by Manchester City, he had been on loan in Germany, his club gets relegated, and instead of looking for another loan somewhere else where he was going to keep playing as a starter, he decided to go back to City to be a backup to Ederson, or to be to challenge for the job, or whatever you want to say. Were you of the same opinion about Zach Steffen challenging himself as you are about Matt Turner?
I think so, because at that point, I still think Zach Steffen was a work in progress, kind of like Matt Turner's a work in progress right now. And there's something to be said for taking a stab at the diamond ring. And Zach Steffen's now doing the right thing, is that he's not going to displace Ederson. I mean, I think he got found out a little bit. I'll be honest with you. I think, okay. but I think when he went to Man City, it seemed like a move that a guy should make. Because like I said, I remember Tim Howard going to Manchester United as a backup, playing his way into being a starter. We have guys who have done. Brad Friedel has done this. Granted, not quite the same level of of club, but our goalkeepers have a track record of grinding it out and finding starting jobs in the Premier League. So yeah, I'm not mad at Zach Steffen going to Man City, but I think he stayed too long. And I think, unfortunately, like I said, he got found out a little bit. I don't think he's quite as good as people thought he was 3 or 4 years ago when he went there.
Okay. I think there were some people who doubted his ability to catch on at that level. And City is a club that collects talent, right? That's one of the things that they do. And then they flip that talent on. I mean, we've seen Jack Harrison's a good example. Obviously a very good player, now a Premier League level player. But they didn't keep him, did they? They loaned him out, and then when he did well on loan, they sold him to Leeds United. So, Manchester City probably never saw Zach Steffen as the heir apparent to Ederson or their next number one goalkeeper. The question is, how does Steffen manage the opportunities that come to him, and what is he asking for? And now he's on loan with another club just ahead of the World Cup. He's going to race to get good form and to show that he's really the number one guy. He probably is still the number one guy in Berhalter's mind, and if he is playing first team minutes with Middlesbrough, he's probably going to be the goalkeeper in Qatar.
Okay, so take for example, if Matt Turner had gone to be the starter at Middlesbrough, is that a better move than going to be the second keeper at Arsenal?
Are you talking about for his World Cup chances?
Well, I'm saying for his career. The Arsenal move's the better one for his career, right?
Go to Arsenal. Every single time you go to Arsenal.
And I gotta give it to Matt Turner, man. He put his stones on the table and said, you know what? I know the World Cup's 6 months away, but I'm gonna do this move. I'm gonna make a move at this. I'm gonna go after this, if for nothing else, to get intelligence on the English keeper.
Did I tell you that I learned that if his kid is born in England, that kid's not automatically English because they don't have birthright citizenship? So
that's the most English thing I've heard all day.
We don't have to worry about Matt Turner's kid one day representing England, because I would be concerned about that.
That's the most colonial thing I've ever heard.
What, that you can't just be?
Oh yeah, I'm sure they'll claim every child born in one of their colonies to be English, but not a kid that's actually born on their shores.
Different countries and different cultures have different rules around citizenship, Jared.
Yeah. How much did English respect those cultures 200 years ago? Okay, anyway, let's see. Number 5 move for me of the offseason. This is going to be one Luca de la Torre. Not a slam dunk, but once again, much like Turner, choosing to challenge himself at a higher level. And more than anything else, there's one other player. There's 2 players on this team, on this list I haven't got to yet. And what many of these, 3 of these 5 top moves have in common, they chose to go places that seem to fit their style. Not just the level of play or anything, that they went to places that embrace their style of play. And I think La Liga embraces Luca de Torre's style of play. Clean on the ball, crisp passing, great on the half turn. I think Luca de Torre is primed for a big year.
Poster on your wall. Are you at that level? Because it feels as though you're getting tired.
I put it on my kid's wall because I don't want to be creepy and have it on mine.
Okay. I do think you're right. I do think that this is a great move, style-wise, playing ability-wise, for Luca de la Torre. I think he's technical enough to make it in La Liga. And if you're talking about, they're not the same player, and I don't mean that, but in a reductive sense, we talk a lot about Yunus Musa, and then Luca de la Torre being the natural replacement for Musa, or if you don't have Musa, you play de la Torre. you don't lose a lot, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, we're still learning a little bit about how good they can be at the top level internationally. But if you're talking about that, well, Yunus Musa is in La Liga, and I think that's going to benefit him. And I don't think you don't have him on your list, right? Because he's staying at Valencia.
Yeah.
Now, Gennaro Gattuso is the manager now at Valencia, and everything I'm seeing says he's playing central midfield in preseason at Valencia is Yunus Musa. And Gattuso is
where he
great
spent time
guy.
with wingers and stuff like that and other positions on the field.
Right. Gattuso is a great guy to learn how to play midfield from. So here we go. Let's see if Yunus Musa can really kick it into gear. We may have this sort of battle in a good way happening between De La Torre and Musa in La Liga, two quality very young American midfielders who are trying to make a national team for the World Cup and trying to make their mark on that league. And you were just saying, our caller was saying that we don't have an American who's really done a lot in La Liga outside of our goalkeeper Casey Keller at Rayo Vallecano. Maybe one of these guys is the guy's gonna break through. I mean, we don't expect Luca De La Torre to sort of be league best out of Celta Vigo, or for Yunus Musa to be a $50 million.
I think he's primed for a large growth year in La Liga. That's what I'm saying.
That's right, both of them, absolutely. Yeah.
Number 4 on this list, and this might be a little bit overrating, but I think there's a potential here, a ceiling here, and that's the Chris Richards move to Crystal Palace. The De La Torre move might actually be a better move, to be honest with you, but the Chris Richards move is higher ceiling move, I think.
Well, I don't think either one goes into the move with any guarantees that playing time is going to be plentiful. And you're talking about Matt Turner taking a risk, going to a big club because they came in for him, and that's the better thing for his career, even if he's not guaranteed playing time, et cetera, et cetera. And you respect that he's putting his stones on the table, right? I think you have to look at it similarly for Luka and for Chris Richards. I mean, obviously, Chris Richards is a talented player who has not established himself enough at a level where you just say, we're buying that guy to play that guy. Now, again, we had our man in Chicago whose name, why am I blanking? He calls all the time. Why am I blanking on his name? What was his name?
Felix.
What's the guy's name? Felix.
Felix
in Chicago was saying that he thinks Patrick Vieira might be messing around with the 3-man back line and that Chris Richards could be in line for that. I've also seen it suggested that he might end up playing some fullback, which wouldn't be ideal, but if he's on the field at fullback, that's better than not playing at all. So
the 3-man back line thing is actually appealing to me because when you talk about what you're looking for in a player to work in tandem with Walker Zimmerman, I know Felix talked about the physicality. That's what Zimmerman brings. I don't need Chris Richards to bring it. Zimmerman brings that. You want what Miles Robinson represented as the sidekick to Walker Zimmerman, the speed, the dynamic movement, the passing out of the back. I think those are things Chris Richards can do. And in a 3-man back line, what's something you have to do all the time? Cover space. You're covering space in a 3-man back line a lot. That's transition football. That's chasing down guys that are open on the wings. Like these are things that you want in a center back that's playing in tandem with Walker Zimmerman. The fact it's a 3-back system versus a 4-back system doesn't concern me because you're still seeing him do the traits that you want in working in the back line. And don't forget too, Berhalter wants to try a 3-5-2. He's been toying with it for years now. He hasn't had the guys to pull it off right now. But if he sees Chris Richards playing in a 3-back system all season long, he might try it at some point just to throw off a team at the World Cup.
That's one of the ways that you covered for what Jonathan Tannewall just put in our chat, that Serginho Dest got toasted again. So if you're trying to cover defensive deficiencies at the fullback position, you turn them into wingbacks, you push them higher up the field, you bring in another central defender and an athletic one. And you absolutely need athletic central defenders when you play a 3-man back line, right? You have to have guys, as you said, who can move in space and play in space. And I think Chris Richards is made for that. But
especially if you're chasing a result at the World Cup and you need to throw an extra attacker on. You want guys that can be confident playing with one less guy in the back.
Yeah, I think this is, again, high risk, high reward for Chris Richards. He's going to a significantly it's not, but it's also not like he's never played at a high level. He does have experience playing in one of the best leagues in the world at Hoffenheim, and he was challenged every week, and there was intense environments and all those things. He was in training that was demanding of him, and so I think he's primed to do okay here. But the jury's going to be out until we see Crystal Palace line up and what Patrick Vieira does.
Okay, number 3 on the list, and this is a guy who I think one of the guys really nailed his transfer move. There's not a lot of guys that nailed their transfer move in the offseason. I think Jordan Pefok got the best transfer of the summer window. There's two guys I've ranked higher than him just for what the moves mean to them and what the ceiling of it, like we've been talking about. But Jordan Pefok really threw a fastball down the middle and knocked it out the park. Like you want him to go to someplace where he's going to be challenged more. He went to a top, potentially Champions League level German side.
Sure.
And they're already starting him and he's scoring in Union Berlin. They've brought him to play. I don't think they're buying him to be substitute minutes or anything like that. It looks like they've bought him to play, and that's what he needed to do with his summer signing. Get someplace at a high level where he's going to get minutes and show Berhalter, I'm not the guy that you play for 10, 15 minutes on the back end of games. I'm the guy you start.
Well, I think there's also this is the combination move that a lot of guys haven't been able to actually pull off, and part of it's because some of them are young and not yet trusted enough to walk into
20 goals
lineup.
Gets you a lot of run.
But you're talking about a guy who did something that works for his national team prospects because he's at a higher level, and as you said, he's going to play, while also being the right move for his career, regardless of what happens with the World Cup, right? He's going to the higher level the way he's supposed to be moving up the ladder in Europe. And Switzerland to Germany is a leap, don't get me wrong, a significant one. But if Union Berlin has scouted him properly, they know he fits with what they want to do. They know he can finish. They know that he's done it against big clubs in big moments. Hey, why not? Why not take a flyer on him? And maybe not even a flyer. Maybe that's unfair to Jordan Pefok, right? Who, by the way, I think is still listed as Sibachu.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like the Europeans aren't hip to this whole name change thing.
We talked about this last week, maybe, but yeah, it's still there. It's still a thing. All right, so that's number 3. You got
number 3.
Two better ones than Jordan Pefok to Union Berlin.
So these were chalk. Okay, the two best moves of the summer are the 2 Leeds signings. Those are the 2 best moves. Now, I personally am putting number 2, and the second best move is Brendan Aronson. I think Brendan Aronson is the second best move because I think Tyler Adams is tailor-made for the Leeds style of play that they're going to try to put in there. Tailor-made. I wanted to say tailor-made.
That's terrible. That was terrible. Okay.
But between the two, Brendan Aronson could just have an amazing season. But I think Tyler Adams made a lateral move positionally and style of play, but to a higher level of team week in, week out. The Premier League level, he's really found a way. And just looking at the reaction from Leeds fans already in the couple of games he's played, they love this guy.
Yeah, I think that there is some concern, and rightfully so, about these guys holding up at the Premier League level and some other things that are out there. And I do think that there is the worry that if Leeds doesn't win enough to keep themselves sort of mid-table, at least in the initial stage of the season, that there's going to be a lot of blame thrown towards the red, white, and blue people in the club. Like that Americans are going to get hit with some stuff. And the Leeds fans are going to, they're demanding fans. They know Jesse helped save them last year, but that only goes so far for a club that has, a big view of itself. Now, they haven't been a Champions League level club for 25 years or whatever it is, but they still think of themselves that way, right? So I do think there's a little bit of concern, but I do prefer to look at this as a positive. And there is no better way for those 2 players to get entry to the Premier League than to play for Jesse Marsh in a blue-collar club that's going to love the fact that what those guys do best, I mean, they're decently technical players. They do have some skill on the ball. They can make some things happen. I think Tyler needs to improve his passing, but hopefully that comes on in the Premier League. But what they do is they run, and that's not only works for Jesse's system, it's something Leeds United fans demand out of their team. And partly because of Bielsa being there for so long, but also just because, again, it's a blue-collar town that respects hustle.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I put Tyler Adams at number 1. I think Aronson's success, whether he's judged as having success this season or not at Leeds, is far more dependent on players around him than Tyler Adams is. Tyler Adams can be a success in a game that they lose because of what he's doing. He doesn't have to score. He doesn't have to throw assists out there. He doesn't have to be on the score sheet to measure success necessary to his position. Right. Whereas Brendan Aronson, you could set up people every game. If they're not scoring, you're not scoring. One of the reasons you're brought there is to produce offense. And if it doesn't produce and it's not his fault, he's still being valued in that manner. So I think Tyler Adams has the ability to bring value, even if they have poor showings offensively here and there, which they did down the stretch for Leeds last season.
Yeah, there are some other things happening at Leeds United that will affect how good they are this year and whether they are. I think that the idea was they saved themselves last year. They sort of reboot the system. They add some pieces. They spent a combined a combined $40 million. They're $45 million on Aronson.
25 and 15 or something. I guess
something like that. 40 million total. That they go out and they get some pieces, and then who knows? Maybe Conference League, maybe even Europa League is within the possibilities for Leeds United. But that might not be realistic. What I think we want to see, what I think is comfortable success, is just not being pulled into the relegation battle. Certainly not.
Yeah, unfortunately, Sinistera had an injury last week in Australia, so we'll have to see what the long-term issue is with him, because that's a signing that was a big part of their offense, and now is already on the training table.
Frustrated with some stuff that's already happened, and they went to Australia for that trip. And by the way, somebody was asking about why Chris Richards hasn't been announced yet by Crystal Palace. I did see something somebody suggested that has to do with their preseason tour as well, that maybe it's a timing issue.
They were in Australia as well. They were playing with Leeds in Australia, so I think it got announced 2 days before they were coming back from Australia. So I think they said, why fly him all the way to Australia to join the team if we're just coming back in a couple days? So I think he's already gone for his physical, but it hasn't been announced yet because the team was transitioning.
Chris Richards doesn't get you to go to Down Under and eat some shrimp on the barbie.
Should have finished that deal earlier. Talk to his agent.
Don't go to Australia. Yeah, I guess so. Should have gotten the deal done. All right, run him back. Run him back for us, Mr. DuBois. 10-1.
10-1. It would be Shaq Moore at the 10 spot, wherever Brooks goes at number 9. Haji Wright at 8. Zach Steffen going to Middlesbrough at 7. Matt Turner going to Arsenal at 6. Luca De La Torre to Celta Vigo at number 5. And let's see, Chris Richards to Crystal Palace at 4. Jordan Pefok to Union Berlin at 3. Brendan Aronson to Leeds at 2. And Tyler Adams to Leeds at 1.
All right. So, I don't have any issues with those rankings. Are there any moves that we're missing? We're not missing any.
I mean, there's stuff like the Giacchini. I just don't think that rated, high enough.
He's coming to Orlando to play Major League Soccer. This is not a transfer move, but I'm curious, since we're in the general national team players and their situation. Gianluca Buzio looks like he's going to sign an extension to stay with Venezia and play in Serie B. So what do you make of that?
I'm kind of surprised, to be honest with you. I think this is him saying, you know what, this World Cup cycle is just not mine. And when you look at, I think Luca De La Torre took the spot that Gianluca Buzio was going for, and I think he's done so well that I think for him, he's at this point thinking, I'm going to establish myself here, and I'm going to be part of the successful promotion run with this team.
Yeah.
And Venezia is doing a lot of things well, in terms of what the ownership is doing, selling the team. What's that?
You mean beyond the pretty shirts that they're selling?
Listen, they're marketing the team fantastically well, and part of that was Buzio. So he's got American owners. Maybe they made him a sweet deal to stay there and make this happen. But it does sound like he has to waive his trade clause, relegation clause.
We have a late addition. Now he was already there on loan, but it is now permanent. Cameron Carter-Vickers to Celtic. What do you make of that one? I mean, I don't know if you would want to re-rank, but just give me your thoughts.
No, I think it's good, but for me, it's not a top 10 thing. If anything, maybe he's there instead of Haji Wright. Maybe that's the way, because they're very similar moves, both staying with the team that they were on loan with. But
where they found a lot of success and got comfortable.
The Haji Wright thing is that move is part of the search for a number 9, which is a little bit more important to me than the center back battle. I don't know.
All right, interesting. Now, I do think that, Cameron Carter-Vickers took some big strides at Celtic. I do have my issues with Scottish football week to week. Celtic is a Champions League level club.
Wait, who are we talking about again?
Cameron Carter-Vickers.
Cameron Carter-Vickers.
I'm sorry, Cameron Carter-Vickers. That's who we call him.
Carter-Vickers. For a second there, I didn't know who you were talking about. My bad. I couldn't understand what you were saying.
I completely botched that. Yeah, it was so confusing for a second.
There were so many hard consonants in there. I didn't understand what you were doing.
I didn't know where you were going with that one.
Oh.
I think that it's a good move for him. He needs a permanent move, and he needs consistent soccer, and he's getting it now at Celtic. So I don't think they really can hate on that.
Yeah, we also didn't put the Malik Tillman move to Rangers in here. I don't think that's big enough to rate at this point.
I also think that he's so young and so new to the national team. There's not even a point in reviewing it. If he plays at Rangers, good for him. By the way, there'll be 2 Americans at Rangers this year. with James Sands also there.
Jimmy Sands is doing work down there at Rangers. Like they're preseason right now. Dude's looking good.
Yeah, I mean, like, he can play. I mean, I just think generally
there's something about that step up to the national team level that he struggled with, though.
Celtic and Rangers are on a different level. Obviously, the Old Firm is way above everybody else in the Scottish Premier League.
And Rangers is doing things in Europe as well.
To take that step, I know. They went to the Europa League final. I'm not trying to downgrade or dismiss that. I'm just saying I would prefer consistent week to week games against better.
Shout out to Connor in the chat. We did not talk about this. Did you see the Jedi Robinson magic trick, the card trick?
I did.
You're about to poo-poo it. I can see right now. You're about to poo-poo it.
Obviously, there's something. Obviously he knows what he's doing with it.
Yeah, sorcery.
Yeah, I have a weird thing about magic. I'm not always comfortable with it.
The dude used the Force.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Yeah, he used the Force to tell a story with cards.
By the way, Fulham just got one of their best viral marketing campaigns the whole season. They should pay him something because I don't think anything's gonna get more traction that they're gonna do socially than that bit.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Probably true. Can you imagine Tim Ream doing something like that? By the way, could you imagine at all ever?
I cannot see Tim Ream doing that. No.
I think Jedi Robinson, and I know you're not. Some people are on board with the whole Jedi thing. But you're not one of them, right?
No, I'm on board. I'm good with it.
You're a Star Wars guy. You're 100%
the dude's doing magic tricks. Of course, like, how did a guy this good-looking, athletic, have so many geeky habits? He looks like the type of guy that could speed solve a Rubik's Cube.
Yeah, probably.
Dude does magic. He's into Star Wars. Like, I mean, last thing I know, he probably got like a Star Trek technical manual for the NC 1701D.
I know national team stuff doesn't always involve TIFO on the same level of the club game, and we're not always there. And look, we got 2 away fixtures, games in September, and then the World Cup, so no home matches. But if you had to have like a 2-pole situation for Jedi Robinson based on this trick, what is it? Is it like a card with him as like the king, and then maybe or the Joker, and it says J for Jedi, and that?
Well, he went by the Jack. He identified himself as the Jack when he was doing the deck and the trick, and he said every time he said "me Jedi," he put the Jack over.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I don't know, something about it. It's interesting. I don't know. I'm not 100% on board, but I don't hate it. So I just don't love it the way people loved it.
We talk all the time about we don't want our players to be vanilla. Here's a guy that's not being vanilla, and you're not embracing it.
I love his personality. The guy is fun.
Would you rather have card tricks or highlights in his hair? Which would you rather have?
Those are my only options. One of
yes,
the other?
Obviously. Have you seen your team? These are your options.
I actually like Jedi's hair choices. I actually think his
hair choices. better like a personality to have on your team. Jedi Robinson doing card tricks. Christian Pulisic doing highlights. Weston McKennie with an RC car.
Yeah.
Which one do you want? Like which one has like more personality to it?
I mean, that's a weird question. I think I would probably vibe with Jedi and Weston more. I would pick one of them. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what you're asking.
I feel like at some point Weston McKennie's going to get in trouble with the RC car. Like it's going to drive under the foot of like Di Maria, and he's going to twist his ankle, do his ACL, and it's going to be Weston's fault because he was playing with the RC car on wet floors in the locker room.
No. Here's the question, and this is more about the soccer than this personality thing you're going on with. But Weston did not get on the field when something like 20 guys played for Juventus in that first friendly in the United States. Now they're playing Barcelona right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that happening right now?
Yeah.
I heard that Dest got toasted. I'm assuming that's by Di Maria. I don't know who it was. Is Weston on the field, going to get on the field, anywhere near the field? I saw him doing a crossbar challenge with Maxi Allegri and Vlahovic today. I watched that video today. I don't know when it happened.
I don't know if he's on the field right now, but his coach is talking him up. And also, Paul Pogba injured himself today. Out for a while, out for a sustained period of time, likely if you've off a few months. So they're gonna be leaning on Weston McKennie even more now with Paul Pogba out. So I'm not too worried about him in time. And also, Weston McKennie strikes me as the kind of guy that might have showed up to preseason maybe with a couple pounds on. It's all right. Dude likes ranch.
I know he likes ranch. Is that a good thing?
I don't know.
All right. Now, yeah, Allegri did. In the United States, Allegri said that Weston is the best American player in Europe. I don't think that's a surprise. He's the American that he has in his team.
He didn't say he's most in shape. He just says he's the best.
Last thing before we get out of here. Did you see the map that FIFA put out with the training bases for all the World Cup teams?
No.
Okay, so it's, Qatar is a tiny little country, size of Connecticut.
Yeah.
For some reason, Germany and Belgium are on, opposite ends of the country, but then everybody else is kind of jammed into Doha.
It has
right?
to do with the Maginot Line. They don't trust each other.
Everything is in that very small. I think it's 24 teams are within 6 mile radius.
Where are we?
We're on Pearl, Qatar. It's an artificial island that is apparently the poshest spot, the ritziest spot in Qatar.
We're putting Weston McKennie in the poshest spot in Qatar?
Apparently. Now, I did look at the Google Maps and noticed that there is
Better put a lock on his door.
There's a Pizza Hut on the island. So we need to make sure that Weston McKennie does not have access to this Pizza Hut while they are in Qatar, because I would be concerned about the ranch and the pizza coming together.
Congratulations to Pizza Hut for being like an ambassador of America in Qatar. Well done.
When you look at the Google satellite, I don't know how old the satellite image is, but when you look at the Google satellite image, I can only find one actual football field on this entire island. So I'm assuming that that's the one that they're going to use. But yeah.
I don't know. It seems like there's a lot of teams that need a lot of field time, and it sounds like they're all pretty close together. I mean, I don't know. I did see the special that Gary Neville did with David Beckham where they went to the English, where the English team's going to be staying. It looked really nice.
The thing about this World Cup is that no team is going to have to get on an airplane to play in a game. None. And they can all return to their training base after every match before they play in their next match. They never have to train anywhere else. They only train in their training base.
Connor in the chat saying that island gives me World Cup 1998 vibes. And for those of you guys that don't remember, the USA in the World Cup 1998 put themselves on a farm in the middle of rural France, away from everything. But if there's a Pizza Hut there, they're not too isolated.
This is not that. There are there are amenities coming out of the. It's Qatar. They got all the stuff. They got all the stuff. All right.
I'm happy for you. Enjoy your time, boys. Okay, real quick, LAFC before we get out.
Oh, we promised that. Yeah, you need to get your stuff in. Let's go.
No, you want to talk about LAFC.
Well, no, I just wanted to. Look, obviously the Luis Suarez thing turned out to not to be anything right now. Now, I have seen a tweet that says in Uruguay they are reporting that he's going to sign with Nacional for 4 months, and then when that season is over or in the winter, he'll then come to Major League Soccer next year.
That's interesting because the team that for the last couple of days has been Seattle LAFC. Today, the team being connected to this was LA Galaxy out of Uruguayan reports.
Okay.
And let's not forget. Okay, but here's one thing that makes sense though. Who's on a free transfer at the end of the season and plays striker for the Galaxy that has a DP spot? Chicharito.
Okay.
So it makes a little bit of sense if you think about Galaxy can't make it happen right now because they don't have a DP slot available. Nacional takes them for the end of the season, gets to help out there. Maybe there's a deal behind the scenes that Luis Suarez comes to the Galaxy to replace Chicharito come January. Even so, I don't know if Luis Suarez is the guy I want.
Okay, I was going to ask you, would you rather have Luis Suarez or would you rather have Christian Pavón back?
Okay. I'm going to say Suarez because if you're going to lose Chicharito, you need well, you know what? No, I'm going to say Pavón because I think I put out a tweet yesterday where sell Chicharito. Despite the fact I like him, sell him. Even I know he's free transfer at the end of the season, probably doesn't make too much of a sense, but he's the only DP that has value for the Galaxy right now. Cabral has no value. Diego Costa has no value. Chicharito still has value, whether it be at Chivas or whoever. He has value, and there's really I think there's very little downgrade of any right now to Jovic, who is producing better, same position, costs way less money.
The problem is for the Galaxy right now is a sunk cost fallacy, right? The cost has been sunk into Chicharito Hernandez, so we can't justify benching him because he's so highly paid. But you need to bench him. You need to pull a Gonzalo Higuain. I'm not saying that he's a disaster.
No.
But Jovic is a better player right now, and he scores more goals. Put Jovic in the team, bench Chicharito Hernandez, and figure out what to do.
So that goes back to your question. That's why I would prefer to have Pavón because I think Jovic is a 1-for-1 trade for Chicharito, and Pavón's a huge upgrade over either Cabral or Costa. But so that being said, that's fantasy land though. But
we don't have to talk LAFC. This is,
well, the thing about LAFC is that now I know what it felt like for every other team in MLS in 2007 and 2010, where the rules were being changed. It seemed like they didn't exist for the LA team. Now that's me. I'm looking at like, how are they doing this?
Do you believe that the rules are being broken? Do you honestly believe that?
It depends what you mean by rules being broken. If sponsors are choosing to pay a guy to come here, and the team is not built into the team's contract, is that necessarily breaking the rules? Like, hey, you can sign for this for $250,000, and on the side, Adidas or whoever is like, hey, if you come to the U.S., we'll kick in a bunch of money because we want you here to market you.
Well, if it's not club dependent, I guess there's really nothing MLS can say about it, right? But if it's like, oh, if you come to LAFC, we'll pay you this extra money, then that actually gives LAFC an advantage outside.
And now it's commonly known that that's part of the Beckham deal. That was Adidas kicking in as well. Whether it was officially on the Galaxy payroll or not, I don't know.
$50 million contract thing that people kept talking about with Beckham. It wasn't his MLS contract. It was $250. It was all the other stuff.
His MLS contract, I think, was 25 or something like that. It was not.
I tend to think that LA is the attractive thing for Chiellini and for Bale. Bale made a ton of money already, doesn't necessarily need more cash, wants to play ahead of the World Cup with Wales, wants to play in a league setting that's not going to be overly taxing for him. I just think that this is just the advantage that LA has being LA. And the same thing went for the Galaxy for a while, too. I mean, it's just a thing. It happens. It's unfair to Columbus that they're not LA, but they're not LA.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Half the time, that doesn't translate to winning silverware in MLS.
No.
LA Galaxy had their run. LAFC has yet to do it, even though they've won a supporter shield. But it's the other teams which just have really tight teams and smart team building that tend to win this.
That's what I was talking about with Vanny earlier. You either have to be really, really good at maximizing your signing. You have to be Garth Lagerwey level, savant at this, or you have to spend money to cover up for mistakes. And the Galaxy are caught in between, right? They've done a little bit of the spending to try to fix mistakes, but they've also tried to be smart. Kevin Cabral. Seriously? Whereas LAFC now seems to be leaning into the fact that you can just spend more money than everybody else. Obviously, Toronto is just spending money to fix their problems. They're going to still have no defensive help at the back with this team, but they might win 5-3 every time out because of Insigne and Bernadeschi.
So it's just interesting that there's no one way to win a championship in MLS. And that's one of the cool things. That's one of the things that makes MLS actually cool, fun, and interesting is that you can't just spend money and win in this league. Whereas we look around across the countries of the world, that tends to be the norm. You spend the money, you spend your way out of bad signings. That's the one thing you can't do in MLS. You can't spend your way out of a bad signing. You have to live with it. And right now, the Galaxy are living it, and LAFC is succeeding as a result of it.
I'm going to finish this out with this comment from our friend JTT. I don't have the can Subs. Can I ask you for the JTT drop just to properly set the? He's not going to call, but just to properly set this up.
Where's that guy?
Is that JTT?
OMFPG13, it's JTT!
Who? Jonathan Dennis just realized that Suarez has to go to the Galaxy so he can play against Chiellini and El Tráfico.
I'm a quote the old McGruff the crime dog. Take a bite out of crime.
Oh man, could you imagine that? I mean, that would be the English press would love that.
I would. I hope that game would be before another game so that English announcers could be like, oh, it's the appetizer on the evening. It's Chiellini versus Suarez.
That's where we wrap it up, everybody. Thank you very much for listening to The Best Soccer Show. Patreon.com/The Best Soccer Show for all the bonus content and the Slack, which again, the besties are chopping it up over there all the time. They're doing Zoom calls. I think there was a gathering in Connecticut. I wasn't part of that, but it happened. There's been other things going on with the besties that are fantastic. What else, Jared? Ratings, reviews, those are the things we should send people to go.
Yeah, hit us up over on the socials. I know Morgan would be happy to if you engaged with her a little bit over there on Twitter or on Instagram.
Figure out how to phonetically spell Kamakaavea and throw it at her on all the social.
Oh, she loves that name.
Loves it. She's a big fan of Kamakaavea.
She's a big fan of the soft R. She also loves Boston.
Oh, man, that's very, very good. All right, that's going to do it for us on this Tuesday. Schedule still a little in flux. I'm in Puerto Rico for another 8 days. So we'll see what happens next week. We'll keep it on the socials. Talk to you then. Bye.
Only the best will do. Only the best will do. Only the best will do for you.
Jay Rodius.